The origin of black people according to the Bible. This topic has certainly been in the minds of a lot of people due to the modern happenings in the world such as migration and marriage. This topic has been well hidden and buried because it has somehow shown that black people are also included in the Bible, and not just the Bible, but in many scriptural books, both canonized and apocryphal, even down to artworks of the early Christian times. The study of this topic will shed more light on the true origin of humanity and human diversity, from the old times down to modern times, about biblical figures and their connections to ancient African civilizations. This topic is also important from a historical perspective. Addressing the origins of black people according to the Bible allows us to trace the lineage of biblical figures to regions associated with modern-day Africa. Understanding these historical connections enriches our understanding of the complex interactions between biblical narratives and the diverse societies of the ancient world. In this video, we aim to answer intriguing questions such as, what historical evidence supports the association between biblical figures and African civilizations? How do biblical interpretations influence contemporary discussions on race and identity? Get ready to flow into the body of this video and stay tuned until the end to uncover fascinating insights about the origins of black people. Let's embark on this journey together. Just one more thing, please like this video and subscribe to this channel to show your support and broaden our reach. Now let's start from the very beginning. I mean the very start of everything, Genesis chapter 1. This Bible passage holds the beginning history of every living, from heaven down to earth. But when God created man, according to this passage, the Bible records in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26 to 27, "And God said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his image, in the image of God created he him, male and female created he them." This account reveals the start of mankind, but not the start of a race, culture, or anything. It's impossible to attribute the cultural heritage to this particular beginning, because it was soon cut short, or rather, obliterated from the earth due to sin. But there is a story that is often tagged as the second beginning. After the first beginning met its end in a flood, a second beginning started. The only difference was that God preserved a man and his family, which includes his sons, their wives, and sons. God didn't create man from scratch, nor animals too. He simply continued from this man and his family. It is in this second beginning that everything starts. By everything, I mean culture, race, and civilizations at large. This story is about a man called Noah, and as we all grew up learning with the children's Bible, I'll do a quick recap about who this man was. In the time of Noah, sin had swallowed the world. Men committed all forms of atrocities against God, not to talk of the Nephilim, the giants who were the products of fallen angels who mixed with the daughter of men. So God instructed Noah to build a big boat called the Ark that would house him and all animals in pairs. And boom, the flood happened, and everything died to save the living things in the ark. This story of Noah and the flood, found in Genesis chapter 6 to chapter 9, is of great importance to the history of mankind, because Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, became the progenitors of different nations. Among them, Ham's lineage is of particular interest when discussing the origins of black people according to the Bible. The descendants of Ham are associated with regions that scholars and historical scripts identify with Africa. Ham's descendants include Cush, the progenitor of Ethiopia; Mizraim, the progenitor of Egypt; Put, the progenitor of Libya; and Canaan, the progenitor of the Canaanites. These names represent ancient peoples who inhabited areas that are now part of Africa and the Middle East. The biblical text provides genealogies that trace the lineage of these nations, which are often interpreted in historical and anthropological contexts. Scholars have debated the precise identities and locations of these nations, but the general association with Africa is widely accepted. Cush, in particular, is a key figure among Ham's descendants. In Genesis chapter 10 verses 6 to 8, Cush is listed as a son of Ham, and is associated with a region that corresponds to ancient Ethiopia. Cush is often linked with the kingdom of Nubia and the wider Ethiopian region. This biblical connection raises intriguing questions about the cultural and historical significance of these ancient peoples and their relationship to modern understandings of African history and identity. The biblical narrative offers glimpses into the history of Cush and its significance within the broader biblical context. For instance, Cush is mentioned in various prophetic texts, such as Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 10, where it symbolizes distant lands that will eventually worship God. Additionally, the mention of Cushite individuals in the Old Testament, including notable figures like the Queen of Sheba, seen in 1 Kings chapter 10 verses 1 to 13, further emphasizes the cultural and political influence of these ancient African kingdoms. This is just one of the aspects of the history of black people, but another surprising one is Moses marrying a black woman, or as the Bible put it, a Cushite woman. In Numbers chapter 12 verses 1 to 10, Moses' sister Miriam and brother Aaron criticize him for marrying a Cushite woman. This episode not only reveals Moses' interracial marriage, but also suggests that the Cushites were distinct from the Israelites in terms of appearance. The story of Moses and his Cushite wife is a fascinating glimpse into biblical attitudes toward race and ethnicity. In Numbers chapter 12 verses 1 to 10, Miriam and Aaron criticized Moses for marrying a Cushite woman, which leads to God's intervention and condemnation of their actions. First, the mention of Moses' Cushite wife suggests that the Cushites were distinct from the Israelites in terms of ethnicity and possibly appearance. This raises questions about the racial diversity within the ancient Near East and the attitudes toward interethnic relationships during biblical times. The fact that Moses' marriage to a Cushite woman is mentioned without explicit condemnation implies a level of acceptance within the biblical narrative. Second, the response of God to Miriam and Aaron's criticism emphasizes the equality of all peoples before God. In verse 3 of Numbers 12, God explicitly states, "Now the man Moses was very humble, more than any man who was on the face of the earth." This declaration underscores Moses' character and suggests that God does not discriminate based on ethnic or racial backgrounds. Third, the episode serves as a reminder of the broader theme of inclusivity within the biblical narrative. Throughout the Old and New Testaments, there are numerous examples of individuals from diverse backgrounds playing significant roles in God's plan. The story of Moses' Cushite wife reinforces the biblical principle of embracing diversity and rejecting prejudice based on ethnicity or racism. The Bible contains several passages that indirectly reference skin color or ethnicity, offering insights into ancient perceptions of physical appearance. One such passage is found in the Song of Solomon, where the bride describes herself, "I am very dark, but lovely, O daughters of Jerusalem, like the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Solomon." Song of Solomon chapter 1 verse 5. This poetic imagery reflects a positive affirmation of dark skin, challenging modern interpretations that associate biblical beauty standards solely with lighter skin tones. In Acts chapter 13 verse 1, we encounter another intriguing reference to black identity in the New Testament. The church in Antioch included prophets and teachers, among whom was Simeon, who was called Niger. The term Niger is Latin for black, suggesting that Simeon was likely a person of African descent. This Bible passage shows the diversity within the early Christian community and underscores the acceptance of individuals from various ethnic backgrounds. Simon of Cyrene is described in the Bible as a passerby who was pressed into service by the Roman soldiers to carry Jesus' cross. He is mentioned in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Although there is no detailed physical description of Simon, he is traditionally believed to have been an African man from Cyrene, because Cyrene is modern-day Libya. He is likely of Jewish descent since he was traveling to Jerusalem for Passover. The inclusion of these passages in the biblical text indicates a nuanced perspective on race and ethnicity. While the Bible does not provide exhaustive treatises on these topics, it offers glimpses into the diversity of ancient societies and challenges contemporary stereotypes about race and beauty. These passages invite readers to appreciate the richness of human diversity as part of God's creative design. In contemporary discussions about race and biblical interpretation, it's essential to approach these topics with sensitivity and humility. The Bible presents a complex tapestry of human experiences, reflecting diverse cultural contexts and historical realities. In conclusion, our exploration of the origins of Black people according to the Bible reveals a rich tapestry of biblical narratives, historical contexts, and interpretive insights. The biblical account of human origins emphasizes the unity of all humanity as descendants of Adam and Eve, while also acknowledging the diversity within the human family. The descendants of Ham, particularly Cush, play a significant role in biblical genealogies and narratives, highlighting ancient connections to Africa. The story of Moses' Cushite wife challenges traditional assumptions about race and ethnicity within biblical narratives, emphasizing God's acceptance of diversity. Biblical passages like the Song of Solomon and Acts chapter 13 verse 1 offer intriguing perspectives on skin color and ethnicity, inviting readers to appreciate the beauty of human diversity within the biblical text. As we engage with these themes, let us approach them with openness and humility, recognizing the inherent dignity of all individuals as created in the image of God. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the biblical origins. I'm sure you gained one or two from this study. Feel free to drop a like to this video and punch the subscribe button also. Stay tuned for our next video. The topic will shock you. Enjoy your day. God bless you.